It's Monday, February 6th, and I never thought I'd say this, but I'm back with the CAC. This is 5 on 20 News. I'm Ty Besh.
And I'm Alex CAC.
I just told them your last name. First, let's get to the headlines.
6 Arizona Republican lawmakers want to penalize charities that help resettle refugees in the state. Senator Judy Burgess of Sun City West is leading the charge with her bill, SB 1468, which would make the Arizona Department of Economic Security suspend its involvement with the federally funded refugee resettlement program. If passed, Burgess' bill would also impose a $1,000 a day fine for charities who help refugees. It would also make the charities financially liable if the refugee was later arrested. Burgess says that this is the only way to slow the flow of refugees pouring in across the country and into states like Arizona. Other states have taken similar measures, but they failed to stem the incoming refugees. Ron Johnson, who lobbies for Catholic charities, disagrees with Burgess and says that the law is antithetical to the charity's purpose. He says that the bill is focusing on the wrong end of the problem because the refugees are already here and that they should be helped. Burgess argues that charities like Johnson's receive millions of dollars to resettle refugees, and he thinks that their motives are questionable. From October 1st, 2015 to September 30th, 2016, the Department of Economic Security resettled more than 4,800 people, with the largest share, just over 1,000, coming from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. There were also 715 refugees from Syria, 610 from Somalia, and 462 from Iraq, all of which are countries on the list of 7 countries which Trump's refugee ban targeted. Arizona Republican Senators Sonny Borelli and Representatives Mark Finchem, Vince Leach, Anthony Kern, and Dan Shooter support Burgess' new bill. Even if SB 1468 passes, it may be unable to stop refugees coming. Unless recent legislation introduced by 2 Texas senators passes, Ted Cruz and Ted Poe introduced the State Refugee Security Act, which would allow U.S. governors to halt any new refugees. If the law passes, Governor Doug Ducey would likely stop the flow of refugees, as he's been trying to do since 2015.
It's a bummer. And about 200 Tucson residents gathered in El Presidio Park on Saturday to show support for the city's immigrant community. The event featured speakers such as City Councilman Steve Kosacic and Bishop Gerald Kakanis, who said that Tucson is a community who believes in welcoming the stranger. The event came on the same day that the Muslim ban was suspended by a state appeals court, which lent even more levity to the event. Activist group We the People sponsored the gathering. Organizer Debbie Campbell said that the event was intended to protest the president's Muslim ban and to oppose proposals from state lawmakers that would suspend Arizona's refugee resettlement program.
And there is some good news for local Fourth Amendment fans. Arizona's lawmakers are being asked to enact the state's first rules on when police can use cell phone tracking technology. SB 1342 would require police to obtain a search warrant before using a Stingray or similar cell phone tracking device. The Stingray works by posing as a cell tower to gain access to the cell phone of a suspected criminal. The problem with this device is it also accesses the phones of people in the area of that suspected criminal, including those who have nothing to do with the crime in question. SB 1342 would also put a limit on how long police can hold on to bystander data. Attorney Will Ganoa of the Arizona chapter of the ACLU has called the proposed legislation a, quote, step in the right direction to increase police transparency and protect Arizonans' privacy.
I feel like that photo is misleading. Is it like, do they set up the tower, or is it just like on top of a car? You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked like it was just a... All right, and here's something for Arizonans. I didn't know. Here's something for Arizonans to be proud of. Our state ranks dead last in the U.S. when it comes to teacher pay. Hooray. A teacher in the state makes an average salary of just over $40,000 per year, which averages 75 cents for every dollar that teachers make in the rest of the country. Governor Doug Ducey promised raises for teachers in his State of the State address earlier this year, but some lawmakers are skeptical that Ducey will be able to deliver on his promises because the state budget is too tight. Teachers have also pointed out that the raises promised by Ducey would be minimal and work out to about $8 added to their paycheck. According to the Morrison Institute of Public Policy, Arizona spends 17% less on public education than the national average.
Pima County wants to find a creative way to use old wastewater while supporting a program that will turn the use of that water to brew beer. So far, a handful of breweries are interested in the idea, including Tucson's own Dragoon Brewery. Within the next month, a tractor trailer will be built to house the equipment that will magically turn wastewater into beer. The water will go through an intense filtering process of reverse osmosis and ultrafiltration. The truck will then tour different cities in Arizona to further gain support for the project. Pima County is hoping that residents will get over the yuck factor and realize that it's a great way to sustainably use the area's wastewater. The county is hoping to attract 32 breweries from across the state to face off in a March Madness-style bracket challenge, where breweries will try to make the best beer using reclaimed water. The competition is expected to happen sometime next fall.
Or you could just skip that and drink Keystone Light. If you've been considering cat adoption, now is the time to pounce. Field services officers with the Pima County Animal Care Center rescued 54 cats from a Tucson home on Friday. That's just one home. This is the third hoarding rescue in 3 weeks. With the recent glut of homeless cats, other local organizations have pitched in to help care for these fuzzy little lives, including the Humane Society of Southern Arizona and Saving Animals for Euthanasia. 57 cats were rescued by the PACC, or PAC, on January 19th from similar circumstances and are now ready to leave the shelter. According to their Facebook page, PACC, or PAC, is waiving the adoption fee on those cats and is running a special on all other pets through Valentine's Day. All adoptions are priced at $14 or less, plus a $17 licensing fee for dogs. The adoption fee includes spay or neuter surgery, vaccinations, a microchip, and a vet visit. If you would like to adopt a new little cuddly friend, or if you'd like to donate to Save the Cuddly Friends' Lives from Gas Chamber, visit pima.gov/animalcare for more details.
And things are heating up in a hurry here in Tucson. According to meteorologist Jeff Beamish, we could be facing near record-breaking high temperatures on Thursday and Friday. Thursday's forecast shows a high of 83. The current February 9th high temperature record was set way back in 2015, and it's 84 degrees. The February 10th record high comes from 1951 and is 86 degrees, while the Friday forecast predicts a high of 85.
So if you work inside, be careful of the Gem Show residents. And I wanted to take a moment, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the program you've been watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We are going to give you the news as we see it. And we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, and we want more people to be a part of this team. The whole gamut, we need everybody. The times require a new way of informing ourselves. So join us, do it now. Email us if you'd like at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event that we should cover, or have any news tips for us at all, shoot us an email at info@creativetucson.org. We are here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of views. So don't be strangers. Now let's get to national and international news.
Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Mortgage. It seems like anything stamped with the Trump name is bound to fail. Donald Trump Heroin may be the latest Trump-titled enterprise to fit that trend. Whether or not the president has anything to do with the 5,500 heroin packages emblazoned with his name and likeness that were confiscated in Hernando County, Florida last month has yet to be determined. The Hernando County authorities have charged Kelvin Scott Johnson for allegedly bringing the drugs into the county. Any potential business ties between Johnson and Trump have not yet been established. Heroin is known to temporarily make poor people feel very powerful before leaving them sick and helpless, much like a Trump voter realizing Obamacare is the only reason that they can afford health insurance.
And while protesters are punching white nationalists in the face, advertisers are punching Breitbart in the wallet. According to grassroots campaign group Sleeping Giants, 818 companies have promised to cut ties with the most hateful corner of the internet this side of a YouTube comment thread. Some of the heavy hitters pulling their ads from Breitbart.com include Kellogg's, Visa, T-Mobile, Nordstrom, and BMW, who to this day continue their 80-year campaign to distance themselves from their Nazi roots. Activist group Some of Us is currently petitioning third-party advertising giant Amazon.com to sever their ties as well. That petition, which currently has over 300,000 signatures, can be found at someofus.org. That's S-U-M. Unless Breitbart can wrangle some new advertisers, Breitbart.org may actually become Breitbart.wordpress.com.
Despite spending the last 8 years criticizing Obama's vacation schedule, so-called President Donald Trump spent the weekend at Mar-a-Lago in West Palm Beach, Florida. The little excursion has cost taxpayers an estimated $3 million. That's $1 million for every week he's been on the job, plus an extra $1 million because, hey, he's worth it. Thousands of protesters took to the streets of West Palm Beach on Saturday to remind the Donald that the American people are still thinking about him while he's away from office. But maybe we should cut the guy a break. I mean, being president of the United States and running a business are both stressful and tiring endeavors on their own. And Trump is the first person in history to do both at the same time.
Guy's a hero. He's got a lot on his shoulders. 2 weeks in, and our new president is already facing the limits of his power. U.S. District Court Judge James Robart put the temporary kibosh on Trump's Muslim travel ban on Friday. Trump responded the only way he knows, by insulting the man on Twitter. Early Saturday morning, Trump tweeted, quote, "The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned," end quote. Democrats and Republicans alike took umbrage at Trump referring to the George W. Bush appointed district court judge as a so-called judge. But the Trump administration continued blasting the decision and defending the executive order. Vice President Mike Pence presented the defense, saying that the law was not a religious test. Echoing remarks by Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, Pence said that the president's order was reflecting on the fact that Christians have faced prosecution around the world. However, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders says that the ruling was part of a move into a more authoritarian direction. Pence is confident that the law will end up surviving the courts later this week. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has neither supported nor opposed the law, but did say that the country can't shut down travel and that we shouldn't ban Muslims, allies who fought with us. The appeals court gave Trump and the opposing states until 3 p.m. today to present further arguments. Trump is expected to argue that the new season of Apprentice is a disaster and that Trump's performance in the 1997, his own performance, the TV show Nightman, should have won an Emmy, and I agree with that.
During an interview with Bill O'Reilly that aired yesterday before the Super Bowl, President Donald Trump reiterated his concerns about voter fraud. Despite the multiple worldwide protests since taking office, Trump still believes that he would have won the popular vote if it weren't for those alleged 3 to 5 million illegal Hillary votes. Trump has repeatedly claimed the registration rolls are crawling with dead people, people who are registered to vote in multiple states, and non-citizens. Trump has yet to present any evidence of actual illegal votes, and it is not a crime to register in multiple states, as Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Trump's puppet master, Stephen Bannon, can both attest to. During the O'Reilly interview, Trump announced his intention to set up a Vice President Pence-led commission to look into his voter registration concerns. The commission will also be in charge of looking under White House beds for monsters and checking the end of every rainbow for pots of gold.
And in the same interview with Bill O'Reilly, the Trumpkin said that he respects Russian President Vladimir Putin, even though he's a, quote, killer. Trump said that while Putin has been responsible for killings throughout the 16-year presidency, the U.S. hasn't exactly been innocent either. He pointed out that, for example, the U.S. allowed itself to be taken over by a former reality TV star who doesn't appear to know anything about public policy, and maybe a toddler in disguise. Trump said that despite the country's faults, it's better to get along with Russia than not. Some Republican lawmakers were confused by the president's remarks, which come at a time of increasing tension between the two countries. Nebraska Republican Senator Ben Sasse said, quote, "I don't know what the president is trying to do with the statements like these." Very sassy. We're guessing he's trying to prevent the world from seeing the infamous golden shower video. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell also echoed the remarks by Sasse, but refused to outright criticize Trump's words. McConnell said that Putin is a thug and that he invaded Crimea and the Ukraine, which is much worse than anything the U.S. has done in the past. He said that America is exceptional and shouldn't be compared with leaders such as Putin. Tweets by Liz Cheney, Marco Rubio, and John Kasich also criticized Trump's comparing Putin's leadership to the U.S. Rubio asked when the last time a Democratic activist was poisoned, referencing past allegations that Putin poisoned political opponents in Russia. It was left to poor Mike Pence to defend the president. Pence dodged a question about whether the U.S. is on par with Putin, but instead urged a better relationship with Russia for the peace and security of our world.
Romanians took to the streets on Sunday to protest a recent decree that would shield Romanian lawmakers from being prosecuted. The decree was later rescinded on Saturday, but that didn't stop about 500,000 people from descending on Victory Square in the capital city of Bucharest. The event marked the largest protests held in Romania since communism fell in 1989. Protesters are unhappy with changes made to the decree, which would make politicians immune to prosecution if the total of offenses were less than 44,000 euros. The protesters say that the decree essentially makes it legal for Romanian politicians to steal money from the government coffers. One politician who would benefit is Liviu Dragnea, who leads the governing Social Democratic Party and who faces charges of defrauding the state out of 24,000 euros. If the decree is passed, then Dragnea will not be prosecuted for the crime. Later this week, Romania's Constitutional Court will rule on the outcome of the original decree. Either way it goes, Romanians are happy to be the only news that has no connection whatsoever with Donald Trump. This was Alex Kack.
And Ty Besh.
For 5 on 20 News. Coming up next, Sean's brand new segment.
And don't forget, if you tuned in Friday, we did have some technical difficulties with the Syrian refugee video that we did. That will be up on creativetucson.org tonight, so you can check it out then. Thanks, guys.
What is in a name? A lot is, actually, especially when it comes to places. Tucson has had many nicknames over the years, and I find this topic fascinating. I hope you like Applebee's, because on this debut segment of my segment called Also Tucson, I'll be serving a sampler platter of some of Tucson's more memorable epithets and monikers. So let's start with the official name, Tucson. I'm embarrassed to say that I did not know this until my early adulthood, and it recently came to my attention that many of my adult Tucson native friends and family also don't know this. But Tucson's name derives from the Spanish word Tucson, which is an imperialist revamping of the Tohono O'odham word Chukshan, meaning base of Black Hill, which refers to, of course, the basalt-covered hill known as Sentinel Peak or A Mountain. Black because of the basalt or lava rock that comes from the mountain and is used in a lot of earlier construction around the city. But let's talk about the nickname we all know, the Old Pueblo. According to Wikipedia, when the rail service was established to the city on March 20th of 1880, R.N. Bob Leatherwood, then mayor, celebrated the fact by sending telegrams to various leaders, including the President of the United States and to the Pope, announcing that the ancient and honorable Pueblo of Tucson was now connected by rail to the outside world. This was often abbreviated to A and N Pueblo, suggesting that Mayor R. N. Leatherwood took delight in the double initial naming convention. In the early 1980s, city leaders ran a contest searching for a new nickname, with the winning entry being the Sunshine Factory, which sounds like some late 20th century post-HVAC marketing effort, haplessly erasing centuries of southern Arizona life when sunshine was a bit more fearsome and inescapable, and instead filling its place with mass-produced UV rays to bottle and sell at Tucson Toros games. It was also a Christian children's television show that aired originally in 1984 and was syndicated nationally, of which I have the ever so faintest memory. Jesus loves me. A rather organically conceived nickname for the region is Optics or Optical Valley. This has to do with southern Arizona's high concentration of optics companies spawned by research at the University of Arizona. This genre of nicknames is pretty specific to technology and almost always emerges in regions with technology clusters, such as Silicon Valley or Automation Alley, meaning metropolitan Detroit. The legacy of this nickname, however, appears to be unfolding in a rather unfortunate way, since the Department of Defense has switched the majority of the X-ray lithography research contracts to Germany's Carl Zeiss. All of the talent is leaving Arizona supposedly as fast as they possibly can, but that is from whispers on Reddit, so who knows. The University of Arizona's Optical Sciences Department and Mirror Lab continue to conduct research, so maybe there is hope for Optics Valley after all. Also, it turns out Tucson isn't the only optics cluster in the world, with Wuhan in mainland China being the hub of China's biggest photoelectron information industry base. Wuhan also goes by the name of Optical Valley. Tucson, which is not unlike the Spanish Tucson, is aimed at poking fun of the way the city's name is often mispronounced. And while we're on the topic, I love it when people swap the C and the S and then slap it on a snow globe with a melted snowman inside. According to data generated through the Google Books project and published by a group of academics in 2011, Tucson is easily the most misspelled major city in America. Google actually returns over 500,000 search results when you enter T-U-S-C-O-N. But also, TuSCon is a science fiction convention that has been held annually in Tucson since 1974, making it the oldest continuous science fiction convention in the state. So maybe you've heard it called the Dirty T. I assure you that this nickname is primarily college affiliated. It actually makes more sense to me when you perceive the city from the gaze of an outsider, perhaps someone from New Jersey or Orange County, places where they don't have as much dust. In addition to our co-ed collegiate tailgate visitors, our warm weather also brings us snowbirds. The thought of RV driving, bland food eating, cute little senior citizens also saying the Dirty T is making me laugh inside, but just a little bit. I think I'm not alone when I say that I wish we could stop calling it T-Town, if you've ever heard that. This nickname does not speak to any of the city's unique characteristics and could just as easily mean Tampa, Tallahassee, Tacoma, or worse, Tempe. Also, I'm certain that this name was created by the reptilians in an attempt to genericize Tucson and the rest of America into one big monoculture with no variety or independent thought. So please strike this from your vocabulary. Thank you. Also, the 520, derived from the telephone area code of Tucson and surrounding areas, We are fond of this name here at 5 on 20 News. I wonder why. Also, Two Stoned, Arizona. Fine. We'll just change the name of this show to 4 on 20 News and chill. This is Chukshan Madrid for 5 on 20 News, and this was the premiere of my news segment. Also Tucson. Also, Ty's my 5 on 20
Had to do
twin.
it. Great job.
Great job, you.
See ya.
See you next week. Someone.